get my hi everybody. I know we're live now and I'm trying to get to right here. Nope, that's not what I'm trying to get to. There we go. Welcome, everybody. My name is Ida Farhat, and welcome to the Cosmic Group podcast. Today, I have the best roundtable. 3 men I hold in high esteem, who I absolutely adore. Miles Jonston, Brian Tseng, and Dr. Amir Jahangiri. I hope I said that. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is going to be an amazing show, and I'm so excited. Miles, do you mind if you go first, please, to introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about yourself and the work that you do, and then we'll just pass it along. Yep.
Well, I earn my dollars or pounds sterling being a broadcast engineer in television, and I've done a lot of radio broadcast. So I know which end of a soldering iron to use. I know which end of a spanner to use. So that brought me into the BBC and also Sky Television, which has now been owned by Comcast. And that's like 25, 30 years in all that. So I'm able to build my own studio and stuff. So one of the things I've been doing since I've been knee-high to a grasshopper is had a fascinating with UFOs. And that goes back to the age of 5 or earlier. So as things moved on at school, I started a UFO group. And then I was able to get... 3 major articles in UFOs in the local press in Belfast. That's double page spread stuff, and on TV. So I've also been behind the scenes, but also I'm on quite a few documentaries, or got a lot of documentaries made, and some of them are running on Netflix, and that involved a thing called the Amash Project 12 years ago, and that was a sort of a groundbreaking thing. And we got practice primetime TV, and it's been rerun so many times. But that involved a lot of intelligence input. So I've got very experienced in the signature of the intelligence services. And that's led to an awful lot of things. And it's led to a very busy past. And I founded the Basis Project in 1994 when we had color television, square color television, not the wide stuff. And that's led to investigating a lot of leading edge, I wouldn't call them whistleblowers, but basically it was a security guy who was operating in a base in England, and we were making aliens. The British were making aliens in underground bases in England. So the statement UFOs, no defense significance, simply means we're up to our necks in them. So any idea of a full disclosure is problematic, because they're working with these guys and have been for a very long time. And that's where we bring ourselves to today.
Thank you, Miles. Brian, do you mind introducing yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. I like Miles, I've had a lifelong fascination, or let's put it, obsession with all things, UFOs, ETs, spiritual, paranormal, occult, cryptids. And then I guess I kind of reincorporated into, or tried to integrate myself into mainstream American society as a Chinese American first generation kid to an immigrant family. And my dad took us rags to riches, which then afforded me the ability to get, or continue in an excellent education, get a biochem degree, and then organize physicians for 8 years, 5 full-time, to do medical advocacy and to deal with healthcare policy, to challenge multi-billion-dollar nonprofit hospital chains to stop them from shutting down local hospitals. And then when those same hospitals, after I kind of burned out a bit after 8 years of that. And I was just, trying to do my thing. And I had kind of 2 years of chillaxing there in San Francisco Bay Area. The scamdemic hit. And unfortunately, a lot of those hospitals that I, when others and fought for, became, in my opinion, death centers. So avoid hospitals at all costs, people. And with that, I fled with my wife to the from San Francisco to Northern Nevada to be preppers and avoid the poopy show that has indeed come and is in the cities now, a lot of the inner cities, and I through watching shows like Miles that I'd already been watching my whole life, and then getting involved through the community online on social media, meeting some of the experiencers of secret space programs, and watching the Journey to Truth podcast where Tyler and Aaron interviewed Tony Rodriguez, among others. Mark Demizio was another one, and they kept talking about 20 and backs. And I was like, that's from all my organizing experience and advocacy. That's just too specific a phrase for multiple people to be coming up with wild tales that they are fully able to give 2-hour plus long interviews on consistently and coherently. And so I reach out to James Rink when he put out a call for assistance to organize the 2023 Montauk Adventure Tour for the 80th anniversary of the very much related Philadelphia experiment. And I co-organized that with him. And, all of this is basically from where we are from here to now. And I'll just skip to now is many of us realize that the full disclosure movement, total exposure, whatever you want to call it, that is the only way we will achieve our Star Trek future, by liberating humanity and Earth.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Dr. Amir.
Thank you so much. Wonderful panel members and esteemed ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're doing really well. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here with you. I'm Amir Jahangiri. I was born in Iran. I pursued two main passions in life, academia and spirituality. I've got 7 academic degrees, telecoms, power engineering, RF engineering, AI, machine learning. But the main passion is spirituality. I started, I was born with much of it. I learned how to astral travel and meditate, age 5. Continued developing. I dove head in, all heart, into every modality that I could find. And so pretty early on, the fact that life exists, not just in the physical domain, became undeniable. I pursued healing modalities. Now, mainly that's what I do. I like to think of it as a energy car wash service. You enter one side and you leave the other side nice and shiny with a mirror polish. Now, through these interactions with people, plus my own experiences, I've come across, again, you may say from my own independent point of view, across all these topics that you wonderful, esteemed people have mentioned, it seems that there is a very powerful and profound spiritual component to all of this, that humanity seems to be the cream of the crop, the prize, and there has been involvement with humanity never ending from the very beginning. It goes on today, and the nature of these interactions are changing for the better. It seems we're going through the end of the dark ages right now. At the very end, it seems that the energy source, which is coming through harvesting humanity, is slowly but surely drying up, and many dark forces are losing their steam, going into a frenzy. So perhaps the next 2 years or 18 months is going to be the most chaotic we have seen in time immemorial, before we enter a transition period about 3 centuries long, slowly going into a new golden age. So that Star Trek future is pretty much our destiny. If we are left to our own devices, we will develop very rapidly. It's a wonderful pleasure to be here. I really look forward to our conversation, our discussions. I hope our wonderful and esteemed audience also find it beneficial.
Thank you, Dr. Amir. I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. This is definitely going to be a fascinating roundtable, and I know so much information is going to be shared that's going to bring value to people's lives that are listening, give them some kind of, if they haven't already begun doing their own soul searching, and also externally looking into all the different phenomena that are taking place. If they haven't, a lot of people, there's new people that I've recently met that are just starting to understand that there's something much bigger happening. So Miles, can we start with you? I have some questions, and I do want to open it up just to a general conversation. Well, let's start with that first. So President Trump won the election. I'm not trying to make this about politics, but I want to know what your thoughts are on what's taking place now that he's become president again. What are your thoughts about that, Miles?
Well, I think people have to get real about politicians and how people get there. I wouldn't suggest that everybody is an innocent sweetie pie baby face. And so when you get a leader like Trump, who is not a politician, he is a businessman, so he's going to operate in a completely different way. But I don't think anybody should be under any illusion that if you're going to be in that sort of level of a club, you've got to be in certain clubs. So people should not, paint somebody from one side of the fence to that they're whiter than white, and they're the savior, and they're almost above God. They're not. They're going to have their flaws, mistakes, and they're going to goof and do what they're going to do. The problem with the other side is that they're part of the whole show. I mean, we have a right mess here in England. We have another. I know I don't want to. The question is, he has a job to do, and the idea of going from his surprise win into a second term wasn't going to work. So somebody behind the scenes, might be people behind the scenes, had to show what a dog and pony show this is going to involve, how bad things are going to get. And you've got to have that filter down onto the ordinary people in the streets. That's one reason why when a head of state dies, they're left in sight and people walk past, so the consciousness of the people see that the king is dead. So you have to let things get down to a base level that this is really bad in people's ordinary lives and what the hell's going on. And essentially that's been answered with this massive wave of all demographics across the United States to vote him in. And they've voted him in. But people should not be looking at this like some kind of sugar plum fairy happy slappy land. We are dealing with a heavily manipulated situation. This is spilling over to the Space Force, and a lot of that coming out. And there's talk of the human beings, genetically modified human beings, and make sure that's what's happened. We are genetically modified species now, and the idea that we're going to go and blunder around the universe as opposed to plunder the universe is not a good thing. So Trump's in. Some people say he's a different Trump and all those sort of things. And there's already talk that he's going to leave within 18 months. I think there were some important Biden moments that Trump had during the election, the way he went off script, but it was going off script. So I think we've got to look at really who's pulling the punches in the background, and nobody should be under any circumstances. We are in a very dangerous situation. Now, if that's going to play the game, I mean, if Elon is making cyborgs, this is straight out of the German Cyborg Transhumanization Handbook. This is straight out of the Fabian Society. The Fabian Society is the transhumanization organization. And in the UK, that's the London School of Economics and the BBC, which is why the BBC cannot stand Trump. They absolutely cannot stand Trump. BBC needs, the whole broadcasting over here needs seriously examined. Ofcom, the people who run all that in this country. So we have to be grown up about this. We have to be alert. We've been through 4 years of absolutely catastrophic hell. Europe's a complete basket case.
Yeah.
I mean, Germany has collapsed. I mean, the Americans cutting the gas pipeline when Germany had got rid of all its heavy power and industry, relying on these stupid solar things, which are useless. And I question solar cells. I don't see how these solar cell farms actually deliver electricity out of the farm. You don't see any pylons taking volts of power away from these places. I think the whole thing's a complete farce and a con. If you're charging batteries, that's okay, but that power isn't going anywhere. Anyway, the point is, I mean, this is an example here. I just find this up. I just dug this out of my. I don't know if anybody has heard of John Searle.
I have not.
John Searle had a team building this stuff, these saucers. He was talking about electrogravitics. I mean, that's him there. We've had a talk with a couple of people. One of the guys talking at my conference, Martin Coleman, was in there. It was as late as the 1980s that those saucers were flying. That's electrogravitics. And again, that's the wrong term because Newton did not invent gravity. Newton proved that the electric field force is the dominant force in the universe, and then manipulating that between phase angle and relative phases between the force fields gives you lift and hyper speed in space. So we have been so horrendously conned that we're going to have to peel things back to about the 1800s and rewrite the basic truths of our physics. Because the way our physics and our science stands, most people, academics who are trained in these or entranced in these universities, will never understand that what they've been talking about for the last 100+ years is a load of bollocks. Whereas others have been using that science correctly, and they're way ahead of us, and that's the basis of the SSP. So in terms of Trump winning, any leader who actually takes care of his country, Margaret Thatcher, Putin, Trump, if they're giving a damn about their own people and defending their own country to defend and nurture and protect their own people, that's good. And if Trump does that and his team, that's good. But any idea that one bunch of good guys and one bunch of bad guys, they're all roughly on the same team, and they've got to be made very, very clear that you and I are watching them and they're not going to get away with it. And I think that should answer the question.
Thank you, Miles. Thank you. Brian, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm 100% for everything Miles just said. And then, in our community, we have the amazing privilege and luxury of bringing into it the time travel SSP aspects that most of the community out there doesn't get access to. A lot of people, like Archie and I were just talking about this last night. Everyone can get access right now to all the P. Diddy and child island place, right? I don't want to say certain names to get us banned. That's still the state we're in is of social media that we could get banned for saying the wrong word. Okay. You look at Journey of Truth, they lost 80,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube like that when YouTube cut them without warning. So, or maybe give them warning, but what is warning anyway until they cut you and you lose 80,000 subscribers. So I just wanted to say that Arkeem has seen Trump, at least from his recall, and this is in real time now, on a mission where he might have been bodyguarding Trump, and Trump was on a faraway planet where they were basically getting to experience some kind of eclipse or solar event that was super rare, and it was a big deal. And Trump gave Arkeem advice on something he had to sightsee while there, and Arkeem listened to him. And I can tell you that Arkeem has a lot of memories of a lot of other politicians, celebrities, royal family, and they're not nice memories where, hey, go see this. It's more usually involving chains and torture and rituals and abuse. Okay. So there's that. And then we know that John G. Trump may have had access to the Tesla papers when Tesla died, when he was working, might have been with the FBI back then, or what it became. And there's a lot of time travel elements, it looks like, to the Trump family. With the books, Ingersoll Rand is one of them, I believe. I think there are two others. There's a lot of hints of this. A lot of people are saying Melania is a Palladian. So all this points out to, at least if you're going to have one side or the other that you have to choose between, it's like you shall know them by their fruits. So we already have Trump, or Team Trump, talking about bringing Robert F. Kennedy on, and he's going to make America healthy again. And lunatic farmer, that's what he was slandered in as the media, Joel Salatin, who's all about regenerative farming and agriculture and livestock husbandry techniques. And so this is like all in line with this new age that people like our friends in the community, like Lily Nova, they're channeling galactic beings. They're all saying golden age. And what's great about this is it's showing us, it's teaching all of us in the community discernment. All these people who, they're psychic, they're astrologers, they're tarot readers, they have guides. And there's like, I just don't get it. Team Harris was going to win this whole time. And now that Trump's win, we were getting overwhelmed by the darkness. We're all in a lower timeline, people. And it's like, okay, just because you're psychic doesn't mean you have discernment. That's what I learned, And then again with Trump, might not even be Trump. With time travel, body doubles, clones, avatars. I mean, I've heard reports that he was assassinated and he might have been replaced. For all you know, he could have been assassinated, replaced with a body double for a while, and then with the SSP, they could time travel or portal over to an alternate timeline, grab Trump over there and bring him back over here, and we wouldn't be none the wiser. Maybe he'd be missing he'd have an anchor tattoo or something, or his eye color changed. But that's kind of where I'm coming from, is to give him a chance. But we need also, as Miles was saying, to push on him and his administration as hard as we can now. Okay, Trump, you're going to be the one to save the kids. You're going to be the one to release the files. Well, let's do it.
I've said many times we need to hold him to task for sure. And I, without a doubt, knew that Trump was going to win. There wasn't a moment that I thought Harris was going to be put in.
And if I may, real quick, another timeline aspect on the negative there is all the time travelers from like Montauk and the programs, whatever, Project Phoenix that I've spoken with, who have seen and recalled the Hillary Clinton timelines where she won in 2016. Those were all the World War III, nuclear war, neutron bomb scenarios that were not pretty. And so it's really of the light that we're on this path right now.
Thank you, Brian. Dr. Amir.
I would like to agree with all that has been said. There's a certain amount of expectation we can logically have from one individual or one party, but let's change our perspective, look at things from a different scale. Humanity is the resource, a very valuable and precious resource. The human body is the most complex chemical manufacturing plant. So in the form of our glands, secretions of the nervous system, different organs, we produce commodities. The harvesting of humanity has given rise to a galactic, perhaps universal drug trade. This is not limited to just the physical domain. Our soul codes or light codes, technology of consciousness, is the next valuable resource. And so, in fact, the existence of the chakra system in our bodies is unnatural. They're just entry ports, like USB ports, facilitating numerous and cyclical harvesting of our energy without us dying. If this was done abnormally, it would be so traumatic, it would lead to the death. And also the shortening of human lifespan, which is not natural either. These bodies by design should be able to live significantly longer, much healthier. Well, this set of circumstances, these circumstances were brought in to toughen up humanity. And the experiment is over. So the outcome of this multi-billion-year process, evolution and engineering, has come to fruition. And so now it's time for those I like to call the pirate species, or more compassionately, the frickin' pirates that have governed this cosmic drug trade, to be rolled out. Now, the entry into this experiment, Earth Realm, the holographic reality, gives every soul a chance of ascension. And also, the graduating souls will get the genetic and energetic codes resulting from this process. So, time is up. This is in a larger scale that the pirates now have to make a choice. There's an offer of amity and forgiveness and rejoining the divine path of evolution. About 80%, 85% accept. All kinds of species that are interacting with humanity, most of them non-benevolent and for their own selfish reasons. And then there is a small percentage that will not accept this. They laugh at the offer of the divine, thinking of themselves as deities. They're just used to being at such an unfair disadvantage towards humanity. These are being removed conclusively, dare I say, aggressively. So as we down here are doing our best, remembering who and what we are the mighty humans. On the other scale, there is this purge or removal of the technological infrastructure that has given rise to this unfair advantage to begin with. We should not be too worried about 2 centuries or 2 millennium or 2 million years worth of technology. You see, it is our brilliance. We will invent it again. We will remember it again. It is this process of cyclical extinction events that is the problem. Brian talked about the use of neutron bombs. This happens, it seems, every 10 to 12,000 years. We're wiped out. The best resulting humans are chosen and the rest are wiped out, and the experiment goes on and on. This time, we're going to avoid it. Last time it was the Ice Age. Time before that, the flood. Then you get volcanoes, meteors hitting. So this has been going on for an incredibly long time, all for good reason. The guaranteed unnatural evolution of humanity. Well, the mighty human, not just these bodies that are put together in a clumsy, expedited fashion just to check a few remaining genetic and energetic categoristics. The whole thing is unbelievably capable. So look at astronauts going into space. Within the first 12 days, their bone structure changes. Look at climate change. We're predicted to have as much as 20 degrees change in temperature in the next century. We're not only surviving, we are thriving. Not every species can do this. So of course our genome, our energetic codes are highly prized. So humanity will be used to seed other locations in existence where life doesn't exist. That was the purpose of this whole thing. But I have incredible hope. Not just people incarnated are awakening, but as a result of the easing of conditions, the children that are born with certain immunities and more light. They remember more. They are capable of more. And so this process is ongoing, and it is a gentle rise out of the shadows. It cannot be done in one moment. People will lose their mind, right? So again, consider those that have been indoctrinated through our academic system, socio-political system. After a certain age, they become concrete. They cannot change. They need new bodies. And so as they are born, they will have a chance to adapt. Right? There's a saying in academia, progress comes one death at a time. That is so true, so painfully true. Before the old big guy goes out, he's not going to allow any new stuff. So this is also something holding us down. But there is immense hope. I see this in people as they go through their healing and breaking the shackles. With that, they undo certain energetic conditions. Some may call these karmic conditions, generational curses, abuse of spirituality or magic, different mechanisms. Now, as these are broken, they are broken in all time. So they liberate themselves, the ancestors that were inflicted by it, and also removing these conditions for future generations. Again, please keep in mind, time is a wonky illusion. It's just a property of the physical domain. You can easily bypass that, even in body. So whether it's one gentleman or lady or the other, I think the momentum is towards improvement. But in my humble opinion, and from what I've seen, it's going to get a lot worse in the short term before we start seeing improvements. This is the old system, the old guard, losing power, throwing a frenzy, and eventually beginning to cannibalize itself. This we shall see very, very soon. So my message, my understanding is great hope that cyclical extinction will not be. We'll catch up to everything that has been held back, our birthright, very, very quickly. So yes, that's that's what I think about this.
Oh, I love listening to you, Dr. Amir. I just get entrenched in the information that you share, because I feel like there's a resonance that I feel within me that I just truly believe that good things are happening. But I definitely agree with you. I believe that it's definitely going to get much worse before it gets better. And I appreciate what Miles said, not to put, too much of our energy and dependence on something outside of ourselves, like a president, king, queen, whatever, that we need to take full responsibility to the best we're capable. We're still in this 3D navigating, using banking systems, the medical field, all the different stuff that's on offer to us. But slowly, like for myself, I don't go to the doctors unless I absolutely have to. And it's usually just for blood work to see what's going on with my thyroid. But I do a lot of stuff outside of the medical field, for my own personal responsibility to take care of my health, my well-being. I'm not the perfect eater. I eat things that sometimes, like potato chips. I like it. But I've managed. My point in saying all that is that ultimately we have to take responsibility for ourselves and come together like what we're doing now, and sharing ideas and collaborating and bringing a different perspective to humanity, because so many are still watching the news, the BBC, different, mainstream media, and following along. I hear it. I met a lady at the dog park that was almost in tears because Trump became president. She ended up being a client of mine. I ended up getting her into the office and helping her. And I'm hoping, that I can just hold space for her. Listen, I don't believe in voting. I think voting is a black magic ritual. That's my own personal perspective. I don't believe that anybody gets voted in. They know exactly who's going to be president before they are. And although they want to give us the illusion that we have some kind of energetic, we have some kind of, power over who becomes president.
But can I say one thing here, Ida? Because we're running into this a lot online in social media in our community, and I'd say 80% of at least the people, maybe it's just I've got a very biased friends list, and the ones who are pro the others, Team Blue in this case, they've already self blocked me or unfriended me or whatever. So maybe I'm talking to an echo chamber, but I see in the main, most of the people and the people in the community I see who are really advancing the movement are more along the lines that we're coming here with. And the thing about, 2,038 people committed suicide in the first 24 hours after people were figuring out Trump won. And so this is like all this self-inflicted stuff, that really people don't need to put themselves through. But what I was going to say about what I'm finding online. Oh yeah. The vast majority of the people who voted for Trump. So to say that in the past, for the most part, I'd say voting has been a black magic ritual. But for this, in the last two elections, the amount of money the other side has spent to manipulate it and steal the vote and the dirty tricks and the assassinations and the machines that flip votes always for Team Blue, it was a strange coincidence, and the DNC operatives going to the polling stations, to say that, oh, this is just a black magic ritual and we have no voice, that takes power away from us. It disrespects us as an electorate, the 70 plus million people who legit did vote for Trump, and probably more voted for him, and they probably shredded the other side probably ended up shredding some of Team Trump's votes. So, I just want to say, let's not give up our sovereignty totally. Just because we're playing in their carnival doesn't mean that we're hopeless marks.
Well, I appreciate everything that you just said. And Shirley, let me just be clear. I was not, my intention of saying what I said was not to be disrespectful to you or anyone else. It's my own personal perspective. I choose not to vote, although I've gone to Trump rallies. I support him energetically. I just don't buy into their system because I don't trust it. So that's just my own perspective. But I appreciate what you said, Brian, and thank you for that, because you did just help me see it from a different perspective, for sure. And I surely don't want to, what's the word I want to use? I don't want to, minimize the effect, or not. That's not the word I'm wanting to use, but I can't think of it right now. I mean, I have it, but I can't.
Yeah, the will of the people. You don't want to make it look like the will of the people is nothing.
I don't want to, yes.
Minimize that. Yeah.
I don't want to minimize that. And I want people to feel empowered, for sure. That's why I do these shows. And that's why I reach out to people like you and befriend people like everyone on this panel, because I hold you guys in high esteem. And I look for guidance through you. I don't have all the answers, that's for sure. But intuitively, I definitely knew that Trump was going to win. And I do look to watch to hold him to task, because so many of us in the truther movement and spiritual communities, those that have bought into the narrative of real change taking place, and, him coming out to, it's supposed to be telling us, what is it? There was something I was watching that he was supposed to, in his last term, was supposed to announce to humanity and chose not to. And there was, about the Kennedy assassination, bringing that forward. And evidently he's made a promise to JF, or the gentleman, I forgot what is, with the junior.
RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Sorry. I feel like I'm going through an upgrade or something, because I have really difficult time keeping my sentences together, and I get discombobulated a bit. So please forgive me when I'm talking. I don't mean to get tongue-tied or trying to get the words out and can't get the words out. But yeah, anyways, enough of that. So thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, you use the term responsibility. And we went through this with Obama. Everybody thought Obama, black president, all this is going to be absolutely happy slappy land. And then he ended up, his vote just kept going down. That's, but we must hold our politicians and public representatives to account. And in this country, so many people completely ignored Europe. They didn't bother voting properly. They couldn't. They did Europe someplace far away, and we don't like them. And the newspapers played a great role in making people bored of Europe. It's the same thing in the United States. You've now got another president who's going to save everything, and all the people concerned are going to write, okay, he's in now. We can get on with what we want to do. And the CEOs of these corporations have got to know that we know where you live. These people have got to understand that you cannot make trillions of billions of dollars and run everything for your personal bunch of shareholders or whatever. The people who are paying for this and the people who are really responsible by these corporations and institutions, they're going to know, people are going to know where they live. And I think that started to happen with one of the CEOs. But the point is, they've got to know that there's a court case in the Netherlands, which is going to have Mr. Microsoft. I'm having the same problem, Ada.
Bill Gates.
He has to appear in person in a court in Holland. Now that's just get them on a small charge, and then they're in court, and then they have. They'll talk their way out of that. But we have to be responsible and keep at it, and not just sit back and complain about our politicians. And the comedy shows, Saturday Night Live, these kind of, and we have similar type shows in the UK, and they're very, very sinister in how they manipulate public opinion. You cannot get almost any TV or radio show on the BBC without them slagging off Michael Farage or Trump.
Yeah.
There's always a little joke worked into the scripts. It's little bits of this everywhere, and people need to nail these broadcasters on this.
I love. Okay, so much just went through my mind. I'm just gonna hold back for a minute. Dr. Amir, so could you share anything? Like, have you picked up energetically? Like, are we in a good position right now? Are we on the highest timeline for those that are wanting to truly evolve and spiritually develop and grow and own our own bodies, our sovereignty? I had somebody say to me a while back that they own your body, and it's quite because being used in the super soldier program and so forth. So I'm just wondering, because it's a conundrum to even think to try to become like a state national or become sovereign, and the paperwork is about this thick. By the time you're done, you're an old lady dying to once you fill out everything and get everything. I'm being facetious, but I'm just saying, what trajectory are you picking up in this here and now of the timeline of humanity for the collective, those that are choosing? What is it that you see? Do you see President Trump doing anything to make a real difference for us?
Okay, so thank you so much for that. Ownership is an illusion. We just walk next to each other for part of our journey. Many of these wonderful ladies and gentlemen that have been in these secret programs, as a soul, they have a higher mission. So while these, let's say, lesser beings, less evolved beings that are selfish, for a short period of time, are utilizing their incredible gifts. So these are not regular people. They are shining stars. Many of them specialist souls brought in to this universe to help fix the problem. So while, let's say, certain species take temporary advantage of their gifts, all along, they're doing what they are meant to do. So, for example, large-scale repair of the natural nervous system of the planet, the grid work. A soul comes in, they're anchoring sufficient light despite the tremendous trauma and difficulty that they are exposed to. That is the mission. And so that ownership is just an illusion. It comes out of lack of refinement and lack of evolution. It's the signature of certain species that we are all aware of. Now, in terms of one individual fixing things. I think we need to look at the whole picture differently. We're in a dumpster fire called 3D Earth. Now, first and foremost, it is our sacred duty to liberate ourselves as an individual. See, if we're not liberated, if we are still subjected to mind control, to energy harvesting, to be blown around like a tumbleweed in the storm, and then we want to liberate others, we're just talking doo-doo. We're one other inmate inside the prison talking about the glories of freedom. So break free, dig a tunnel, get the hell out. And then that's the good news I want to present. Many of us, all of us here, sitting on this panel, we're not here to evolve. We've been there, we've done that, we've got the t-shirt. We've dove back in to liberate more. And so these discussions are having that effect. Now, this is becoming overwhelming. You see people becoming more aware in greater numbers and greater proportions compared to those that would have been happily oblivious in their regular life. All of us, at least now, know something is not right. And so this is going to get stronger and stronger. With Mr. Trump, well, he's an interesting character. And so he has emphasized America first, thinking about the United States as a sovereign nation first and foremost, not part of a global cabal. What is good for the 360 million US people? Borders, food, education, right? So these are things that resonate. I love what Miles said, that first and foremost, their duty is towards their own people, the people who voted them in. Now, as the United States is the most powerful nation globally, it will have trickle effects on every other nation. So I'm hopeful. It's that kind of 1 in a million chance that the gentleman will actually do what is needed. But still, he's the better option, I think. The alternative would have been down a darker path. And so again, like yourself, Ida, I don't vote. I respect the free will of everyone. My approach is more inwards. You see, there are certain technological devices and technologies, life forms that are used against us, strongly disseminated and utilized through media, and not just programmed broadcasts, but through the EM waves, through electrical cables, even through fiber optics. It seems that these beings or entities can be transmitted. It's like picking up parasites. You swim in polluted water and you pick up leeches. You go into a rainforest and you get bit by mosquitoes. This is our environment. And yet removing them requires clarity. You need to know who you are, what your baseline is. It's like being exposed to the common cold. But then there is a built-in wisdom and defense mechanism. We all have to get rid of them. More and more people are learning this. And it seems the key to all of this is reaching a meditative state. If you are able to calm the mind, then you will hear the gentle whispers of your infinite soul. We call intuition, extrasensory perception. It is all here now. There is nothing missing, no knowledge missing, no treasure lost, no rites of passage we have to dance our way through. No. It's all here. We just need to remember and unearth it. So again, we go through the motions. And again, I would like to bring this message of incredible hope for all of us together, the mighty humans. And now about the timelines, I think this is the best possible time to be alive in a body. We're the ones who are going to win this battle, right? What's it? Being born in the golden age is boring. Come on. Being born in the dark ages is also terrible. That's not good. But here we are, the ones pushing forward through victory. It's us that will be going down in history books. Look at these guys. Look at what they had to face. Oh my God. And look at what they did. I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about this. And this is the timeline that we are all going to generate together. Awareness, no judgment. No, that doesn't serve anything. No vengeance. Free thyself, heal thyself. Everything else is going to fall into line.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Amir. That was lovely. That was fantastic. Is there anything else that anyone wants to say? We can move forward to the questions, or Miles, did you have something?
I'd like to. I've been doing a lot of work with an Egyptian guy called Syed, and he has been head of. He was head of documentation. In other words, he knew every single document and knew where it was and could tell whether a document was fake or not at Luxor. And he spotted a pattern which is in all the artifacts, and even that same pattern with the same message over 1,000+ years. And that is the 12,500 year cycle when the sun disk changes. The only thing that you know that really tells you that we've moved is where the sun comes up. And this is encoded in the artifacts in Egypt. And that is where your 12,500 year in round figures cycle causes a lot of problems. And he's saying that we're coming up to that time now. So that is, the thing is, he's being Egyptian, he speaks Egyptian. And he has an Egyptian accent, even if I can say it. But I've been doing a little work with him to get this explained in English. And maybe one day we'll get him talking at a conference. But this is in every single type of artifact. Even statues have one odd eye on the left and one eye on the right, because there's movement encoded into the statues. And the movement is about the disk, the sun, the earth moving. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But that's something that our ancestors have told us about. And let's see how we can deal with that together, doing practical things across all the different countries, and not a bunch of people saying we'll be okay and the rest of you can go suck eggs. We've got to work together on this, every creed, country and nation.
Yes, I agree. Well, I put it on there. It's time for global. We need to rise to the occasion, all of us. I have a brother-in-law who is Egyptian, and his name is Syed, by the way. So I think that's interesting. You just said that. There must be a lot of them. But yeah.
Well, it's a bit like Jones in Wales, you know?
Yeah. Well, there are certain common names, like in the Arabic culture, for instance, not to go to this, but I'll just share it for the sake of, my name is Ida Isa Farhat. My brother, Salem Isa Farhat, Frida Isa Farhat. So the father's name is the middle and last name, and then you're given your birth, your first name. Is it the same, Dr. Amir and
Iran?
Yes.
No, it's westernized.
Okay.
So yes, first name, surname. They give you a number, punch you full of vaccines, and give you a slap on the butt, and off you go.
Well, yes, I'm not exempt. I wasn't exempt from that myself. I'm talking about like in the culture, in the Iranian culture. Is your father's name your middle and last name?
Yes. So there's the surname, but that goes back probably about 2-3 centuries. Effects of the Western colonization, so to speak, major changes, standardization of the musical system, calendar system, removal of certain older wisdom, namely astrology. This comes from the Middle East, west of Asia, and North Africa. Beautiful documentation of cycles of time, very profound when it is correctly understood. It seems that many rimmels and astrolabes were misappropriated. They never learned how to use them.
I think, Doctor, that we've got to think about that kind of information and think about it pre-British Empire. That information is stuff we really need to know. Something really changed about the mid of the 1800s in round figures.
Yeah.
Well, Miles, I'm so delighted that you and Dr. Amir are meeting each other. I mean, he's in the UK as well. And I would love to see you guys, connect and collaborate, because this guy is, all of you are genius to me.
I mean,
Dr. Amir has a special.
Amir, did you know that the Khomeini, what's his name, who took over from the Shah, you do know that he was a British asset. I think he was called Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have him to thank for the November surprise, right? Or was it October surprise, whichever one it was?
Let's just say I need to survive. So certain things we can.
Well, you sound like you're in Iran right now.
Certain things we can't say.
Okay. Well, maybe you two will connect otherwise. And we're hoping by next year, Dr. Amir will be able to join us for the conference. Hopefully, if he gets,
hope so.
We're really hoping. I mean, I'm gonna send it out to the universe. We really want you to be with us. Yes.
Is that hotel still standing?
It is still standing, Miles. It is still standing. And we're getting ready to start really launching, like getting, we're getting ready. So we need everybody on their personal channels to be letting everybody know to buy a ticket for Full Disclosure Now in July and to come join us. People like yourself, Miles Johnson will be there. And I will announce now with Brian's permission, we have James Bartley's going to be joining us. And
from Australia.
Yes, from Australia. We have you coming in, and we have some other amazing presenters. Hopefully, we will be adding Dr. Amir to that roster of different presenters that can really bring real information in the here and now, not 20 years ago. Now, what is going on? We need that. We need, especially.
I think we're going to have a very bumpy ride until then, and it's very exciting, folks.
Yes.
Well, I'm so excited, and I'll be picking you up from the airport again, so no worries, Miles. Okay.
Is that still there?
Here. Yeah. Okay, so I want to get to the questions because I think they're fantastic questions that I've put together, and it will give us some, keep us focused here, or at least me focused. So, all right, Miles, we're going to start with you. With your work on the BASIS project, what are some of the most striking patterns you've observed and how hidden forces impact both individual and collective consciousness?
Well, the first thing that's happened is that we find out that we're making aliens. And we're not necessarily in control of the situation. And the way that the people who came to me, I don't know who's going to, I have no idea who I'm going to interview next week or tomorrow, whatever. And they seem to be, the pattern seems to be that somebody's telling us something, and it's my job to try and get what they're saying without interruption too many times. What's happening? What actually happens when I do interrupt is because I find that when I was interviewing Barry King at the very start, we were actually telepathically linking. He was already answering. When you notice this on the edit, he was already answering before I actually finished my sentence, and I thought that was important. But that's a complicated question. So there are these patterns, and we've had sort of a phase of them, and then they sort of die down. And one of the things I try to do is interview people who can help, like psychology people, therapists. In fact, I've started a whole new series on people who can actually help people. One of them is a brilliant lady in Ireland who's actually, I think she's a mix of German and African. So it's amazing to see somebody like that in Dublin dealing with people who've had such severe trauma, because Ireland's one of the most traumatized societies in the world because of what they can do. And that.
We lost you, Miles. You just. Okay.
He might be lagging out. I think Miles might be referring to the Selkie genetics, Irish genetics that.
Well, we know that they started. Yeah, they started in Egypt, by the way. So the tribe of Dan.
Ireland, land of the pharaohs.
Yeah, yes.
Ireland was originally called after Scotia, after the daughter of Akhenaten or whatever, and there's a very deep connection with the ancient Irish and the High Brazil Atlantis or whatever was off to the coast, and now all that could be coming back. And so there's a very deep connection with that. And the late Andy Power wrote a book on that, and unfortunately he only published 1,000 Ireland, Land of the Pharaohs by Andrew Power. And then Michael Tazarian did an awful lot of work on that. And
I love his work.
People need to know that Michael Tazarian had to sneak into libraries to get access to these books, because these books, the kind of books he was accessing, were only allowed in university libraries, and you can only read this stuff if you were a student.
Yeah.
And he was thrown out. He had a hell of a long time to research this deep stuff.
Genius. He's amazing. I used to watch him.
And being an Egyptian man from Belfast, he talks faster than a Gatling gun.
Yeah.
And he doesn't stop. But that's the pattern, and it is giving. The whole point is to have a resource so people can look at stuff, because something said maybe 10 years ago, the second bit of it doesn't maybe come along for 10 years later. So it's got to be seen in the round, and I've got help now with a web designer who's getting a lot of the stuff put together properly on basistv.com. And we access that as well to basistv.org, and he's working very hard on that, and I'm indebted to him for doing that.
Well, Miles, thank you for sharing all that with us, but you may want to consider maybe talking with Dr. Amir. Dr. Amir, I've had a couple reading or sessions with him. He's powerful. This guy helps a lot of people. He just helped a friend of mine recently. And
well, is he further, Doctor? Are you up the M1 or across the M11?
I'm in Cambridge.
Oh my God! Yes, that's the M11. Okay.
Okay, so you guys will definitely, when we're done with the show,
let me offer you a energy car wash session, complimentary on the house. I think the proof is in the pudding, and I think you might be interested in some information about you, and of course the cleaning. We can always use a car wash every now and again.
There you go. He's offering you a session, Miles.
I will go for that.
Yeah.
I'm so busy going forward, I never see what I've left behind. So
yeah,
one of these days I'll stop.
I will be very pleased to hear that you have worked with Dr. Amir and allowed him to, because if anybody I send your way, I trust him and know that he's the real deal. And also,
he's listening to this, by the way.
No, I don't. Y'all know I want the real deal, and I want people that are genuine, authentic, and not full of crap or sensationalizing things. I want direct communication. These are things that I appreciate about y'all and your intelligence and the wisdom that you've gained over these years of working with all. And Barry King is absolutely amazing. I don't know, Brian, if you've ever seen any of the Basis interviews with Barry King, but if you haven't, I highly recommend. I've watched all the Bases, just about everything, up until the most recent ones, and I still go and try to get as much.
There's no therapy for that, Ida.
Yeah.
No therapy. But the one thing that made me stick by this was when Lisa Williams, the late Lisa Williams, that's also the way a lot of the people I've interviewed have passed on. It was the way that they described the infighting, the backstabbing, and the scheming between these different interested groups, the reptilians, the Greys, the programmed life forms, the Russians, because you've got to have Nazis there. They've got better uniforms, and everybody's in there, and nobody.
Hugo Boss, we got to give a shout to Hugo Boss.
Yeah, right, Brian.
The guy had some style.
Yes.
So it was the way that the internecine backstabbing and throat slitting was going on, and that happens in any organization. I don't even talk about the BBC, but it was the fact that was going on told me that they had insights which were real, and then that's why I kept going on that.
Okay, so we'll move. Brian, I have a question for you, and then we'll go to Dr. Amir. So I have 3 for each of you, and we should be able to get through these before 4 o'clock. So, okay, so Brian, given your work with Full Disclosure Now, what are some of the most pressing truths or disclosures that you feel the public needs to be aware of regarding cosmic influences on our world?
It seems like a lot more people out there in the community have been part of the programs than we realize.
Mm.
A lot more people have unlocked or locked up abilities to unlock than we realize. Likewise, and then like what we need to know. I always say it's the good, the bad, and the ugly, because and then there's the fact that we have agents in the movement. So there are agents in the movement who are literally sent in either because they're unknowing, they have alters, and they're sent in to handle the community by causing dissension and arguments and fights and he said, she said. Then there are other infiltrators who are there to just pose as friends, and they're like the skeptics in the community who like UFOs are cool and a certain level of paranormal is cool, but once you get into like Dr. Amir Jahangiri helping people clear negative energies with like dragon breath, like, oh, we can't have that. They're going to gatekeep that. Okay. Or they're going to make fun of people who, oh, these guys are talking about secret space program and Nazis in space. They're live action role playing because they took too much acid and watched Star Wars. Okay.
Mhm.
And then ha ha ha. Okay. But then let's do a 2-hour
Gaslighting.
but then let's do it. Then they gaslight us. But then we're going to push our 2-hour documentary on kind of like soft disclosure, ancient aliens that we've done a million times before.
Right.
Okay. So it's awakening to our own truth of who we are on the one hand, and then understanding better who our adversary is. And then understanding that, as Miles and Dr. Amir have also spoken to, we're in this transition period to get to this golden age. So having an awareness of that, now it's kind of like we're like the people who are aware that the Bastille, that the mortar isn't rock solid. You can like chip away at it and gouge it and start to knock it down. And the more we're in a special time of history, that's what everyone in our community should know. Like Dr. Amir is saying, that the more push we do now, it's kind of like the more parabolic or exponential it helps to push us on a trajectory from a timeline perspective. Like now, these are the golden years. So if we can seed the golden years now, we can make the golden years that much more golden, faster, better for more people. And that's kind of like now we're looking at it from, oh my gosh, going from survival and scarcity to how can we optimize a golden age and a transition.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Okay, Dr. Amir, from a metaphysical, do you mind? I'm sorry. Oh, I thought somebody was saying something. From a metaphysical and historical perspective, what reoccurring cosmic themes do you believe are influencing the trajectory of human civilizations today? Did you? Okay.
There are many. There are many. There are some that are far more ancient and more evolved. And then in the recent 250,000 years, we got the introduction of the frickin' pirates. Anunnaki, many species of reptilians, many varieties of greys, many of them not native to our universe. And so there are the governors of the universal matrix, ninth dimensional trontoloids or praying mantis, brilliant scientists, geneticists, and engineers. They can travel throughout the cosmos. It seems they have evolved beyond perfection and technology. They've reached a status of no more change. They're already perfect with what is possible in, let's say, manifestation in the lower 12 dimensions. But beyond that, well, there's a party going on, and we don't know all the guests. What is useful for our esteemed audience? Talking about interference with super soldiers, that there are far more of them than we would like to accept. That is true. And something that all of these have in common is heavy interference with the head. I'm not saying this ironically. This is literal. Devices and implants are placed upon the crown, the soul bridge, third eye, and jade gate. Some of them going down into lower energy centers, messing with the heart, all the way down to the base of the spine, the tailbone. So let's not just speak of a problem. Let us present a solution. So many are going to hear this. Okay, brilliant. What is the most common musical instrument among all tribes of man? It is the drum. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Why? Now, it seems certain wisdom, including the entirety of shamanism, is eternal. I downloaded it independently without a master, and I speak to many esteemed masters, and it is all one and the same. So, do you need to buy a drum? You can listen to a recording of a drum. The sound of the drum plus the conscious intention to be liberated removes these damn things. Did I just spill the beans? Oops, did I did it again? Yes, I did.
Okay. I love that, Dr. Amir. I appreciate the drum. I mean, I've known that this is
some of the drum is the big guns. Yeah. So you have the Egyptian sistrum, Atlantean technology, blast these things to smithereens, tiny little rattles, the same principle. Okay? The sound carries and amplifies your consciousness. You are the mighty creator being, will to be free, and they fall out. You purge them out of your energy. That's built into all of us. We don't need any aliens to help us. In fact, if I dare say, screw all of them. And excuse my French. They've been around for millions of years. Where's the help? We've been in this dumpster fire together. We help each other.
We help each
other.
We
are the mighty women. And so this is a very practical technique. It's been around forever. Why? When we lost our common tongue, when we don't call mother by the same word or father by the same word, but we kept the drum. Why?
That's lovely. I appreciate that. I appreciate your answer. All of you guys are amazing.
I want to speak to this because a lot of people in our audience who might be not as familiar with like the occult or magical theory, like, well, what is a rattle or a drum? Or in a lot of times on social media, people are talking about bells and similar, singing bowls. It's that as above, so below, the spiritual realms trickling down here to the physical, but also in the physical, when you like salt as a crystal, for example, for repelling your barrier against spiritual energy, that same thing of that frequency and resonance, by manifesting it here on the physical realm, it actually does also resonate that much harder throughout the spiritual realms.
Well, that's what I was just thinking. But Ada's just got up there. Those bells, it's acoustic waves.
I could do it.
Acoustic waves, harmonics, and when you create an interference pattern with those things, anything that doesn't like it, it gets shattered.
That's right. And I do clearings on people.
Now the remedy. This is the remedy. You don't need to dance around the fire under the pale moonlight. You don't need to sacrifice any damn chickens either. You don't need a guru. You don't need to go to Brazil and drink of the elixir of what.
You don't have that stuff.
So you asked about what the sound.
I still do want to drink that though.
I'm
going to do that. I am going to do that.
I don't think that's a good idea.
My nephew went to I don't know where it was, one of the Amazon country, and he went, and by the way, this guy was supposed to ring the bell at the stock market. They wrote him a formal letter to invite him to come and be ring the bell and waved everybody, and got there. And there was a Chinese man that owns it, by the way, Brian, I love you, that invited him to New York and then told him no, he wasn't going to be doing the ringing the bell and waving to people. Like, how do you invite somebody and then turn around and tell them no? And they travel all the way to New York. But anyways, he did ayahuasca, and now, I mean, I'm saying this on here. My sister or my niece probably won't watch it, but she's telling me that they're noticing that he, I'm not going to say his name, he noticed like a big black shadow man in the house, and said when he goes around corners or like going through thresholds, which I know when we walk through doors or thresholds, we move into a different dimension. Is that correct, Dr. Amir? Is that a correct statement?
Well, the plant kingdom never sold out. They maintained their connection to the beloved source of all things. However, the human priests, they sold out. And so in altered states, your defenses are compromised. So consumption of plant medicine, all of it, can be an entry point for non-desirable consciousness.
I totally agree. I would strongly disagree with anybody taking any of brewed black liquid or whatever. That poison.
I've never done ayahuasca, but I do think that what's it called? Microdosing is good sometimes for you. You don't think so,
Let's
Dr.
look at
Amir?
the correct way of how this must be done. Firstly, you are connecting to the spirit of a species, the plant kingdom, who never sold out. If this is done with correct reverence and ceremony, with the correct intention and the correct protection, it is immensely beneficial. Now, that is what is lacking. It seems that many have noticed that people go for this liberation and medicine to certain spots, and the priesthood is compromised. I came through someone very recently who had reached almost a mental break afterwards, because he was then infiltrated by a very substantial demon, an ancient South American being who had gone mad observing the trauma of his family being murdered. And so that demon was then employed into the ritual, infecting everybody who partook of that priesthood's medicine. We dealt with it, but it's good to be aware. My wonderful brothers and sisters, esteemed ladies and gentlemen, you are the mighty human. Your will is superior. It would be good to get assistance and wisdom and help from plants, from the elementals, from the frickin' pirates, if they are honest. But we don't need it. We need to learn to be responsible for our own evolution. All we need is within. There was a question about what this sound does. It is superior in creation to light. First, there is the beloved source. Then comes the primordial divine void. Then comes sound. Then comes light. And then comes dimensionality. If you approach something from a superior origin, you have power over it. So using sound with your intention is unbelievably powerful. It can undo fallen angels. And now even greater than that is using and implementing the energy of the primordial void, the path of Tantra, which is alive even to this day in India and Tibet. That is now the biggest thing you can use. And then, of course, even greater than that, just call to source. We call that beloved divine by many names. Beloved source, I've got my dumb ass into trouble. Help. That is the most powerful magic. It undoes everything.
Dr. Amir, I don't mean to interrupt you, but before I forget, like, how do you find somebody that you can try, like a tantric teacher or something? Like, how do you
win? How do you win the lottery? It's just that bad. Can you trust? You know, I'm telling you, don't. Don't.
Okay. Oh, I see.
No.
Yes.
I would absolutely concur on that.
You know, we got to be honest. I mean, I'm in this healing business. You know what? If you know someone I've worked with and they say, okay, he's good, then give it a go. Otherwise, don't trust me either. I'm taking the ego out of it. Be safe rather than sorry, because there is so much abuse going on in the spiritual community, like you will not believe. Disgusting stuff.
We have been seriously
I'm fully aware. I'm very selective in who I allow that I work with or allowed to read all of that. I mean, very selective. But I wanted to mention to you, I did a Kambo ceremony a few weeks ago with the frog medicine that they extract the frog. I mean, I have my scars on my inside of my foot. And I will tell you, the peptides, I literally could feel the cleansing of my field. Like, it was quite powerful. And I purged and purged. I mean, I've done so much different stuff to help myself. And then, of course, entrust it in you and a few others that I've had help me. And I'm so very grateful for that. But occasionally, I haven't microdosed in years, but I think about it sometimes, like, yeah.
Let's macrodose. Let's blow the freaking lid off things. This is one of the hermetic laws of the universe, which has been censored. So you've heard of the 7 hermetic laws, or the laws of Thoth or Hermes or Ahura Mazda. Some of them are eliminated. One of them, through great struggle, I retrieved from Thoth. It's the law of liberty. What it says is, if you reach to the light, it will reach back. That is the law. Directly, call to source, call to self, that source that is in your heart. You will be shocked how powerfully things fall into line for this to be facilitated. And so if you're looking for a shaman or healer with integrity, use this. Beloved source, send my way someone who has integrity. It will bypass all the freaking pirates, all the mind control. Let's look, go to the boss, go to that which we are. We are a spark from that beloved source. We are a drop from the mighty ocean, and yet we are the mighty ocean in one drop. Let's not give away power. That's how we got into this mess to begin with.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay, back to the questions. So we'll go, Miles, I have another question for you. How do you see the role of media and technology influencing or even manipulating our perception of cosmic and worldly affairs today?
They are 100% compromised. The Fabian agenda is run through the BBC. The BBC is one of the most sinister, subtle organizations. Our media have betrayed us, and the ratings of these big organizations are just plummeting. People don't trust them. We've been lied to by these organizations, and the big mega corporations that finance them, and a lot of them are American. Comcast, for instance, runs Sky and NBC. These and Disney and all these. I mean, they're all there. You cannot. People don't have to know. They don't have to have an engineering degree on high performance motor cars to know when they're being sold a pup. They don't have to know the science and everything else. They just get a feeling, and people know they're being sold a pup by our politicians and by our broadcast media. And there are people refusing to. Over here we have a TV license. You got to pay £160 a year, $200 to listen to the BBC. If you don't, they'll arrest you. So
wow.
I mean, yeah, you get arrested.
So
I mean,
you have to get it. Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's the way that the BBC's financed, and because they're independent. No, they're not. They're run by a captured organization.
But what if you don't want TV? What if you don't want to watch TV?
If you've got a device, a lot of people threw away their TV sets and watched everything on a computer. But now, because the BBC is available online, and when you actually want to watch a BBC or an old series on what they call BBC iPlayer, you have to give your location and your age and all that sort of stuff, so they know it's you that's watching. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the problems about watching anything on computers. They know which person's watched what.
Well, let me tell you, when I was abducted, and I know for sure the Air Force, how they abducted me was through Wi-Fi, without a doubt.
And the other one is Wi-Fi.
I changed my whatever the number thing. I changed the whole thing, and that's when the guy from the Air Force showed back up at my door asking for my email. And I knew it, but I gave it to him anyways. And damn if I didn't see
the point about LED lighting. LED lighting, all these fancy lights that look like light bulbs are still pulsing lights. And they can transmit brain code, optical brain code that goes straight into your brain. You don't have to, and they can freak you out, change your mood with the lighting.
Sure.
So everybody's got LED lights now.
I'm trying not
the high blue ones, which are designed to damage your retina, so they can give you a solution to that. Now that you've lost your retina and it's getting blurry and going wrong, they've got synthetic retinas
Miles, I'm going to send you this interview on Danny Jones. I watched of a lady scientist that went to university, and she was talking about the blue as opposed to red, and looking at these computers all day long and
Organic
other lights in
LED
our home. That red lights are the best thing to have in your home. So I bought myself a electric fireplace thing that I keep the flame either on green or red. I mean, because I liked it. I wanted an electric TV stand. But yeah, I'm getting ready to put a bunch of red little night lights in my house. So at night when I
Well,
get
they've
up,
got to be incandescent, and or they've got to be a bulb which gets rid of pulses. That's the
yeah,
point about a tungsten light bulb. It luminesced sufficiently long that any sharp changes in its brightness were masked out, so you didn't see that. Now you've got these LEDs, and they can all flicker at the same time, and they can cause fits. I mean, with street lighting, why do they have these LED street lighting on during the day?
I see one of the street light. It happens here fairly often, and I wonder. And there was like 5 helicopters that flew over my development the other night, and that we have a street lamp that flickers, and that's the second time that this and they just leave it, and it makes me wonder. And I sometimes in the evening when I'm walking Prince, I take the trash down to the dumpster and it's just flicking away, and I just
Well, that's because they've got switch mode power supplies, and switch mode power supplies we use a hell of a lot of noise in the AM band, and and that's why they don't like you listening to AM radio, because it's all full of shh, and that's radiating from every lamppost. It's the switch mode power supply that's doing it, and then that's a flickering effect which goes into the light. So if anything goes wrong with the power supply, it'll flicker in a visible way that you can see it pulsing slowly, as opposed to this high frequency flicker.
yeah. Okay.
And then that's when they have Li-Fi instead of Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's right. You got that right. Li-Fi. Thank you, Miles. Brian, how does your work bridge the gap between what is often seen as conspiracy and verifiable global affairs?
Well, what I do is I don't approach it from a what if these people are real and they're telling the truth. I already know from so many different checkpoints of investigation. And, for the people who they need it from the bottom up, I always start with going back to World War II history and Operation High Jump and the Vril Society, and then going on to the Philadelphia experiment, to the Montauk Project, to the secret space programs and the breakaway civilizations. And I bridge a gap by bringing together the most coherent, consistent, just they have the most believable testimonies, and even some kind of documentation where the dates and when they went to school and the talented and gifted programs, the same patterns are emerging over and over. And so I'm finding the real life people in these programs and bringing them out to share their testimonies, and then also the ascension, the spiritual knowledge as well, that's part of us all growing that knowledge that a lot of people who've been in the programs, or ET contactees, military abductees, have to share with the general population. As the general population absorbs this knowledge and it becomes more real for them, then that bridge is I'm bridging the gap by making the audience is now becoming part of, they're realizing, well, wait, if I'm not a my lab, oh, maybe that was why they took away my brother, or my cousin's schizophrenic, or my dad who was a Freemason was abusing all of us, and understanding this and then healing from it. All this understanding and knowledge of how it affects all of us, and then bridging it to get the best of the knowledge that the people who've been through the worst of it have to share, and incorporating that into all of our own lives. That's what's marching us forward. That's also part of the disclosure movement. It makes it very real and visceral when people go from, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, to like they've got a Kundalini awakening. Now they're seeing auras and hearing voices, but it's really telepathy. That's nothing beats it when each and every person participates themselves.
Yeah. Great answer. Thank you. Thank you for that. Dr. Amir?
I wholeheartedly agree. The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
It's like I say, my arm is itchy, and then someone says, no, it's not itchy. I'm like, God damn it, it's itching. Okay. So you know there's something going on. It's your senses. You trust that you are not cuckoo. You know what you saw. You know your mind is functioning as it usually did. And now you're exposed to more facts, more truth. That breaks any narrative, breaks any mind control. And so that's common experience. And I would just like to put it in a general category. The human being is more than just the physical. Life exists beyond just the physical domain. It is possible in many octaves of vibration or dimensions. Just because something is from, let's say, the 12th dimension doesn't make it better or worse. Just because something that is born in the darkness comes towards you doesn't mean it is evil, right? So keeping an open mind, this factual information that many seek is available to all of us if we just search for it. It is all around us, for goodness sake. So it's just a matter of honing our senses, removing sufficient levels of obstruction that we can then perceive. Once you see, that is it. That is the end of the dog and pony show. And so many things exist that will help towards this. Meditation.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'm going to ask you a question now. Is that okay, Dr. Amir? How do you see ancient wisdom or esoteric knowledge playing a role in understanding the hidden cosmic forces affecting modern global events?
Let's go back to something that is even accepted in mainstream science. Energy cannot be destroyed. It just changes form. Let's go back to a greater fundamental principle. Everything is consciousness. And so consciousness is eternal. The wisdom that was available to our ancestors is available to us. Many call this the Akashic records. There are other divine libraries of life with all the genetic blueprints. Certain beings coming in leave backups to certain energy structures for their vessel. This is all available, including the eternal wisdom of shamanism, including the power of using your breathing, pranayama. These are all available. They're available to each and every one of us if we just learn to call home. Yes, E.T., call home. Call home, brother. Call home, sister. This is the secret they are trying to keep from us, which is becoming increasingly impossible as the technological infrastructure. So Miles talked about how pulsing signals work. Yes, they sabotage our consciousness. It's one of the back doors through our cognitive neuroanatomy, the structure of our body that is used. Okay, if they shoot you with a bullet, you'll die. Okay, this is just a fact. But it doesn't mean that we are slaves to it. It is possible to liberate oneself step by step through meditation and then get access to that eternal, unadulterated, un-BBC'd version of truth that we're looking for. It's all here now. It's available to all of us.
Thank you.
It's just a matter of accessing it.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Amir. Okay. Miles, I'm coming back to you because I want to get these
Amazing.
questions.
This is just wonderful. I'm really enjoying this.
I am too, Miles.
By the way, if you hear any booms, they're still firing howitzers on the Salisbury Plain here. It's only about a mile or two up the road. You might hear a boom or something like that. But,
well, what do you guys think about doing a monthly show together? I would love to do that. Miles, are you?
Yeah.
How about you, Brian? Let's do it monthly. I think, because I don't think there's ever enough. I mean, there's always more topics to be discussed and more information to be shared, and so much happens. Yeah,
well, I think as people wake up, they're going to have a thirst for information, and I'm very impressed. I've been helping here with some women's groups, and was a wonderful woman here called Sandy Adams.
Yes.
And she asked me to record her presentation down in Glastonbury. You couldn't get it, but these are independent women's groups, and it's absolutely packed. And there's a new bunch of ladies called Project Libertas up in Stroud, which is apparently known for being, people who are awake. And that's amazing. And I mean, I was talking to somebody on Friday. They had a little social group, and then we're talking Tartaria. And you just don't get too many people in one room who know about Tartaria and the energy and all that stuff. So, I mean, this is where we can work through at the grassroots level.
Yep, that's right. I agree. So I'm going to hold you guys to that. We're going to do this monthly until...
I thought that's no, we've made it now.
And that's interesting that you say, because recently I did one show with Yisa and Jennifer Nunez and Lily Hayes. Shout out to all of them last month, and then this month we're going to do another with a few other ladies. I'm trying to bring some women together, and that we can support one another through our own and share ideas and help each other and our own wisdom. So yeah, I think it's important that, like you said, at the grassroots, getting people to come together and collaborate.
The march of the divine feminine.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bit heavy.
Well, yeah, I won't go there right now, but I mean, yeah, I'm not going to go there right now. I'm going to stick to this show. But maybe we'll do a show on that one day. Okay, so Miles, am I back to you? Oh, no, I just asked. No, yes, Miles, I'm back to you. Can you share insights on how the Basis Project has shed light on the connections between cosmic phenomena and the governmental structures?
Well, the first thing is exposing how much the government's involved. And once you realize that the government's involved, I mean, when we did a TV show 12 years ago for the MASH project, and Channel 4 picked it up, we had more agents swirling around us than we had hot dinners. So these people have been traumatized. One of them had, her daughter was murdered. I mean, murdered during the shoot. And they tried to belittle that. So when you combine that and the scale of, people, I mean, I just went for lunch during a shoot, and I was followed by 5 agents, because these people are all happen to be walking down the street along with you at exactly the same time. When you stop, they stop. There's nothing suspicious going on here. Nothing. Yes. And then I walked into a shop and I had a look at a watch, just because it was a pretty watch. And within about 2 seconds, this guy walked into the shop, tore it out of my hands so we could feel my energies or some damn thing. So I then ended up I wanted to get a lunch and looking for a kebab shop or fish and chips. So I went and got there, and then suddenly all these people turned up. They didn't buy anything. They just hung around looking, I mean, it was a comedy. It should have been done by John Cleese, for Christ's sake. But that shows that they were very nervous about what was going on. And I think it's our responsibility as good citizens to make the government very, very nervous, because they are being caught lying. The intelligence agencies are being caught. I mean, I don't want to tar everybody with the same brush, but if you're running in an organization which is compromised, you don't want to be speaking. I mean, I've known people who have worked out that, oh my God, this is a conspiracy. This is corruption. They're doing this and they're doing that. And they write a whole report about it and get all the names of everything. If you find there's major conspiracy and corruption in your department, the last thing you do is tell them that you know about it. I think I just can't get this to work, and I'm very late with my report, and I'm very sorry. But I mean, the number of people, you just don't realize what you're dealing with. But when you work out what you are dealing with and then tell them that you know, that's not good science. It's a good thing to do. But we are dealing with compromised. You see, one of the things is the whole way that we look at things, the government out there to help us, the various forces. I mean, in the UK, our Prime Minister's handed over control of the British Armed Forces to Europe. So, we just had a war with them a few years ago. at least, and we lost, but people keep thinking we won. So, but you've got to work things out and be very careful. These organizations are not operating within our interests. And the first thing you've got to do is be a good citizen and just keep your head down. One thing that John Ehrman explained, do not attack an enemy until you know what you're dealing with, because otherwise you're just charging at windmills.
Yep, good statement. That was good. Okay, all right. Brian, you ready? Got one more question for you.
Okay.
In your view, how can people begin to discern reliable information from misinformation within the current landscape of global and cosmic revelations?
You're getting some interference, or that's.
Yeah, I see that you are. Thank you for that, Miles, by the way. I appreciate your response.
Well, I know that we're getting interference because I've lost you lot a few times.
All four of us are off.
Yeah. Okay. I'm moving. I think Dr. Amir's okay. Miles is okay. Brian, you're the okay. There you are. Okay. You want me to ask you the question again?
Yeah. I didn't quite catch it the first time around there.
So, in your view, how can people begin to discern reliable information from misinformation within the current landscape of global and cosmic revelations?
Anyone who's pushing hopium and the line that we don't have to do anything and there are no bad ETs and we're the bad ETs and it's all taken care of and you don't need to organize, you don't need to tell your testimonies, don't delve into the darkness. So I find there's in the discernment, you've got the people who are the legitimate people on the disclosure side, and then the faker people. Either they're the old guard and they just are so stuck in the third density they can't ever see where we're at right now, or the paid agents, or the people who are they've been MK Ultra mind control. They don't even know they're agents and trolls, and they're being used against us and themselves. But then there's also on the spiritual side, I also see a parallel where you've got the channelers and healers who they're so authoritative, and then they're going to tell you to roll up your sleeves and get the jabs. So I call out Bashar for that in particular, and it says on his website that he recommends.
He did that, I know.
Of course, because it's showing you. Antonio Arillo in our community did a spiritual tribunal reading on him and discovered that, there's a good aspect of Bashar, but there's also down in his incarnational cycle, apparently he got corrupted somewhere along the line, at least one of his aspects, to present himself in the same way of his authoritative channel with this all-knowing authoritative information. And then in these critical moments, he'll kind of like misguide you one way or another. It's like, well, geez, this guy was great 90% of the time, 95% of the time. And then there's this message of, And I can tell you with Johnny Enoch, who's under our good friend, who's under a lot of attack right now, psychic, spiritual, handlers, psychotronic warfare, whatever, they're hitting them. And what was it? He's been told that he and others have been told that we're being effective and they're being messed with. But what was it? There's something about Johnny though, but he had a message.
I think if they heard his album,
I know. That's what it was with Guy at a certain TV, new age streaming TV service. The executive producer literally told him, "Hey, Johnny, we really like you. You're getting great viewership ratings on our streaming service. We want to promote you, want to move you up in the organization, but there's some things you have to do for us." Johnny said, like, what kind of things? Said, well, the executive producer of this service told him, we need you to insert messaging, for example, from time to time. So Johnny says, what kind of messaging? Oh, for example, the message that humanity in the future will have to give up our sovereignty. That's a Luciferian line.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyone pushing the jabs who was saying all along Team Harris is the team of light and they're going to win, and they don't know nothing about the Hillary faction and Bush. I mean, it's not just Republican, Democrat thing. Trump was a disruptor. His own leadership of the party, they wanted to replace him with "Please clap Jeb Bush." Okay, so, but that's the discernment is, "Ye shall know them by their fruits, or lack thereof." And so, people who are putting poison in the community, defeatism in the community, you don't want to listen to them. Okay, and you want to maybe at best figure out, are they a useful idiot because they know not what they're doing and they're just eating up the other side's propaganda, or the real wolves in sheep's clothing? Those are the really dangerous ones. And then on the side of, I'd say, Team Light, right? I consider all of us on Team Light, is if we're helping people in the community, we're getting the truth out, we're not muddying the waters, we're not creating dissension in the ranks, we're putting the movement and the principles first, we're doing it for the children, keeping the focus on them. We could give a crap about our cliques and how badly we're being banned. We know that we're on the right path. We're being attacked. All of these things, those are all discernment indicators for me.
I appreciate, Brian, I want to respond to that for a moment. So, there's been information lingering in the background for many years about Gaia TV. I mean, Miles, you know this, don't you? I mean, from way back, like 2011.
You might say that. I couldn't possibly comment.
That's right. And that's the thing. That's exactly what we're seeing is we're now able to emerge with our own platforms to bypass the old guard. Because the thing that Miles has got on the part of Miles' secret sauce is he's very technically sophisticated, and he's a researcher, and he's a personality, and he knows these people, and he's probably been in the programs, as we've discussed before, on air. So it's kind of like most people didn't have that ability to then go out and start up these basis projects and whatnot. Most people had to wait until the media caught up to what we have now.
So what I'm seeing, and this is just, maybe Dr. Amir, Miles, Brian, any of you can respond to this, but the same way that we have our these people that are being put in these positions of, I'm not going to I don't think anybody has power greater than me. I mean,
they're influencers within a crappy 3D matrix, right?
But I'm talking about, like, for instance, the P. Diddy's and the people that are used in the mainstream music and movies and so forth. In order for them to get to that level of notoriety and fame, we'll just use the word fame, they have to acquiesce and agree to some things.
Yes,
that's the same thing with Gaia TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
In order, if people, and I've been speaking to this for a long time because I feel like I rejected every effort that was brought to me. You guys might not know this. I'll tell you a secret, but they did try to get me to be a part of Playboy when I was 18 years old.
Yeah,
They also wanted me to audition for In Living Color when J-Lo came out, and I refused it. I stayed up on
which edition?
I don't know. I just I was working in Bethesda, Maryland, and this man came in from Playboy because I worked for a cable system. I can't remember the name of it. I was a receptionist, and he took a liking to me. Next thing you know, he's got Sharon, the office manager, approaching me about considering. He says to me, like, I don't know, 5 dozen roses, gorgeous roses. I'm scared. I'm like 18, 19 years old, Miles.
He sounds like a handler.
Offering to send a private jet to pick me up and have a limousine pick me up at my front door of my apartment, like all this stuff. It scared me. I had no interest whatsoever. And by the way, I was dating one of my handlers who was Puerto Rican. I definitely know was a reptilian, gorgeous. He looked like he was chiseled from the hand of God, who's like, oh, go ahead, babe. This is somebody that was so abusive, Miles, that he would literally, he was 5th degree black belt, Navy SEAL. He would grab my clothes and he could take my jeans and just rip them off me like what is it? The Hulk. Like, you're not going anywhere in those clothes, right? But as soon as he saw that there was an interest in money to be gained, because he was definitely narcissistic, he was like, "Oh, sure, babe. Why don't you go out on a date with him or what?" I don't know what he said, but some nonsense. I didn't do any of it at all. And so I know that they had eyes on me in a different way many years ago. But my point is, there are some that want that, because I wanted to be a dancer when I grew up. I wanted to be on, Solid Gold and whatever. Like that was one of my dreams as a little girl, being a professional dancer. But they had other plans for me, like having me hooked on cocaine for many years and using me in these. I believe I was told I was using 220 and back. I don't believe I was sent out to Mars or somewhere. I think all the 20 and backs that I experienced were done right here on this planet and used in like different timelines or something. Because when I had my awakening, I just remembered like my whole life was not my own. It seemed like, who was that person that was doing all that craziness? Like, even when I look back now, like, I can't believe, I believe it because I know I was using these projects and programs, but it's mind-blowing the level of compromise that one would go through being used in them. Something you swear you would never do, you become. Like, I've never I've never harmed a child. I've never robbed a bank, but everything else that I judged, I became. And I also know that I was used in, because I was, probably in the sex kitten. I don't know what it's called, those programs. What are they called, Brian?
Beta kitten.
All that crap. But anyways, so back to, I've watched a little bit of the Diddy stuff, and I just think about, like, there's so many people coming forward that have been used in these satanic ritual abuse, because that's exactly what it is. We know that the sexual energy is the life force, or is the source energy, the creative force energy. And
Ida,
yeah.
P. Diddy specifically, he and a lot of those other guys like Jay-Z, they're part of the Black Boule or the Boule.
I am aware. Yes.
Right. So this is the Black Freemason, that faction.
But we're hearing about Scientology, like all the stuff that
Scientology's linked is to the programs as well. So is the Mormon Church, so is the Vatican.
But this is what I'm saying, Brian. So say 2011, when I first had my awakening, there were people. Miles has been around long before 2011. There have been people that have been
long before, back to the days of Atlantis.
Yeah.
I resemble that comment, Brian.
I love you, Ma. I love you. I love all of you, and I mean that.
So
I'm saying that from my heart.
If I may add something here. So, as the population of humanity has grown, individual control has become impractical. So it's the same individual techniques now used on a mass scale. A discernment of whether or not you are being manipulated is straightforward. So look at our conversation now. We're all level-headed. There's no bursts of emotion. That is critical. Now, if they employ a burst in euphoria, bubbling up and basically inflating your ego, or if it's done through bursts of negative energy, humiliation, horror, shock, these two extremes, they weaken your natural defenses, the aura, the life force, and then you are vulnerable for implantation of not just thought patterns, but all sorts of astral devices. If somebody is giving you extreme hope, red flag. If they're giving you extreme horror and terror, red flag. If somebody is coming, just sitting down, speaking, uninterrupted, maybe they mess up a bit, but that's not a problem. There's a stream of thought, and they're not shocking your emotions and energetic structure, then you may consider it. It doesn't have the red flags. That doesn't mean it's necessarily true. At least it passes the first test. Anything that shocks your emotion up or down, that is a sign for danger. So lots of these TV shows where they shock the hell out of you through scares and different scary scenes. This is one of those types of events through movies where people are then implanted. Subliminal messages, but more sophisticated sentient AI and engineered life forms all the way up to the sixth dimension are implanted this way. So your natural immunity is compromised. And that's one of the ways to discern if they're messing with you or not.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Amir. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's fantastic information. And everybody that's listening, I hope they take heed.
This is really very important material.
Dr. Amir, in your experience, what practices or perspectives can individuals adopt to attune themselves to the cosmic forces that I always have a hard time.
Liminally.
No.
Subdue?
Subtly impact their lives and decisions.
Subtly.
Sorry, I wrote it down wrong. That happens sometimes.
We are born in a polluted environment. As the first cell of our bodies is formed, the egg and the sperm mix, the manipulation of our physical and energetic structure begins. By the time we are born, 90% of the implants are in place. And then we are faced with school, with culture, with religion, with society, with commerce and economics. So we are born in the bottom of a well. This does not occur overnight. Much of what we are dealing with is generational, both in the terms of our physical DNA, but also energetic structures. So if a person expects to go and do a weekend course and fix all of it, they're bloody lunatic. It will not work that way. So let's look at ourselves at the here and now. For what it is worth, we are working with a certain amount of willpower. This willpower must be exerted over and over and over and bloody over. This is not a one-time fix. It is a lifelong practice. So there are so many beautiful modalities, meditative modalities that do this. The one I use is called the Kujikiri, very ancient, pre-earth ancient. That has survived. You can learn it in one go. I would like to shout out to the Grand Master, whom I learned this from, Francois Lapin. His spiritual name is Maha Vajra. And you can find his YouTube channel. The guy is brilliant. I've practiced this for over 10 years. Every time I do it, it unfolds something new. So attunement, liberation, health, strength, the uncovering and activation of our birthright, the gifts of our spirit, it's a full-time job. We can't expect it to be easy. So that's the bitter truth. If you expect healing to be easy, you're wrong. If you expect to be lovey-dovey and love and light, what are you going to do with the sharks and the black widows that are down in our shadow, in the depths of our psyche? You have to be prepared to experience the pain one last time. Give it light, give it a place of honor, integrate it and release it. This is the only way. So this climb out of the depths of this well is not easy. It is not pleasant. But boy, oh boy, every step that you climb, you are so much better for it. Anybody else telling you, I'll give you this drink or come do this course, I'll do this and that for you, it's the same doo-doo that we see all the way through humanity, ending up with priesthoods who are richer than the royalties. I mean, this goes on right now.
Sure.
Certain locations, if you want to buy a burial chamber, a grave, a single grave in a certain place in Iran costs you more than a flat in Manhattan. Oh, yes. Or look at the priesthoods of ancient Egypt who owned all the farming land because they were selling the people basically an afterlife. It's the same kind of nonsense. So it's very much so an individual journey. You have to feel it. So imagine you've been shackled. The shackles will leave an imprint. You take the damn thing off and it's going to hurt until it heals. This is the way. And if you leave it, you're going to be born again. These are soul properties, shackles on our energy. So I come across wonderful people with injuries going back to 25,000 years, all the way back to Atlantis, or more modern times, let's say the Inquisition, the Dark Ages in Europe, being burned, being hanged, all these leave imprints in different structures. And once you heal it, you are free of it. If you leave it, you're going to be carrying it. So you really, really have to work. It is not a blissful journey at the beginning. Eventually, it becomes blissful to a point that you are constantly satisfied. You're Zen. You're connected to source. And so then your mind is at peace. You don't think about stuff. You download, use, and release. So that's the way. And by the way, all these defenses, healing abilities, portal technology, remote viewing, all sorts of things, these are built in, but we're so heavily burdened that we don't have enough horsepower to activate them. So that's my understanding of this process. You really have to work on it day by day. So I do this every day, at least 2 hours. If not, I'll be compromised. One client comes and something attaches to me. Oh boy, it works. It happens all the time. You pick up stuff. And so you have to be able to be aware of it and then deal with it. So with every healing session, I'm cleaning myself. That's behind the scenes. You have to be aware that nothing comes for free, especially in this world where they have turned the mighty human being into a goddamn hamburger. That's what they look at as a resource, or a cow that produces milk. Let's milk these humans as long as they let us. While we are the urus, the mighty bull. Come at a wild bull, try to milk the wild bull, or the female equivalent. It'll punch you, it'll stomp over you. So we have to regain that confidence, that dignity that has been taken from us through trauma, genetic trauma. Miles and I share the Irish blood. Look at what has been done to these noble, mighty Atlanteans. Why do you think alcoholism is so prevalent in these people, no matter where they grow up? This is all in a genetic karma, genetic conditioning.
Dr. Amir, you have Irish in you as well?
I've got Irish, Norwegian, Persian, and Indian.
Okay.
So I have got access to the mighty deities.
I don't know what I can say about that.
My grandmother was a Johnston. So I often remind we're related somewhere along the lines, because I've had a great not attraction to Miles and like attraction that way, but just something my heart pulls to him. I absolutely adore him, and I just honor you so much and love you, and I mean that, Miles. I think what you've been doing over the years is just mind blowing.
I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. I'm not going to be able to leave the bloody house.
Well, I'm not a love bomber, and if you'd like to say something else to put you, okay, but I mean that. I mean that genuinely. I mean that, and I think yes, and we do. I have Irish Scottish. My mother was Irish Scottish, some Cherokee in there. Her father's grandmother was full Cherokee. His mother was half. And then on down, but yeah. So thank you for sharing that, Dr. Amir, because I think a lot of people, people wonder, and I often say we never arrive. There's always more to, but I absolutely agree with you. I definitely do not meditate for 2 hours a day. As a matter of fact, I'm a walking meditation sometimes. Yes. Or I'll put music on. I love pan music in my house. And I just do things that I enjoy. I have a lot of plants that helps me get out of my mind and just be present in the moment and, share with.
But you should talk to them.
I do talk to them.
Listen,
I do talk
when
to
they
them.
answer back that they lock you up.
Yeah. Love them. All right, guys. We're at 4:09, so we've been going about a little over 2 hours. This has been an absolutely fantastic show today. I think so much, amazing, helpful, useful, intelligent information's been shared, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to come and be, on the show and sharing your knowledge and wisdom with people. It's so important. So I will be in touch. Guys, everybody that's watching, please like, share, subscribe. I've been stuck at like 500 subscribers for like, I don't know how many years.
We're being banned all so hard. Yeah, please. So if you're in the audience, please share this. If you think that any of us should be on any shows that we're not already on, please introduce us. Like, if David Icke or Bryce of Atlanta Esoteric or whatever. And I also want to give a shout out to Olivia James, who's here, who's also very much in the programs. She's also wrote Gray Mouse, and she has an amazing TikTok channel. You can find it under Olivia James Gray Mouse, the Gray Mouse. I was binging on that the other night, Olivia. So want to give a shout out.
I'll definitely go and have a look. Yeah, and Miles interviews people on the Basis Project, people that have had real super soldier experiences, UFO experiences, and so forth. So, I don't know that I have everybody's contact information on this one. I didn't have time. I had to sign a new lease this morning, so I was running around. I probably should have done that, but people could find Miles at the Basis Project on YouTube. Also, everybody share their links.
Basis Project censored.
Okay. And then Dr. Amir has the Wizard of share your links, Dr. Amir. I'm sorry.
So wizardofwivenhoe.co.uk, on YouTube also Wizard of Wivenhoe.
Tons of content that's so worth having a look at. Brian.
Yep. There's my conference website, fulldisclosuremovement.org, all one word. We got the replay recordings for this last July, and then information and tickets and the resort discount to stay at the Serrata for next year, all to be found on there. And then also, I'm on Disclosure Now podcast with Arkeem Ra, and we just did a couple of episodes that are mind-blowing, but the most recent one, it turns out that Colonel Michael Aquino of the Temple of Set and the SSP used Arkeem in the programs on one time travel mission to facilitate the Son of Sam murders. And and Arkeem himself had to, while under MK Ultra mind control, and he has recall of murdering some of these people, and it's very graphic. I'm going to share it because it needs to be told. But he was ordered by Aquino to make it as traumatizing and nasty as possible. So he literally, a couple of people, at least one or two, I think it was, he disemboweled them, and then he remembers strangling them with their own intestines, and the look of horror on their faces are coughing up blood. And then he remembers coming back to portaling back to Montauk and seeing Colonel Aquino. And Colonel Aquino, he's a Luciferian pedophile Satanist. So even though he's giving Arkeem congratulations on a job well done, it's like, great job. You're messing up the timeline by traumatizing the normies. And they did that to eliminate a very positive Christian church that would have demonstrated the works of Christ and not just been talk. And they intentionally sent Arkeem and other people back to do that PSYOP, the Son of Sam murders. But yeah, that's the level we're at. That's on our podcast right now.
Bob Osborne's done an awful lot of work on Zener and Aleister Crowley. I mean, he was, and this is the Fabian Society, the Huxley, all those people were doing a lot of this World War I in the 30s, and Jack Parsons and all that lot.
Right. The Babylon calling thing. Yeah, that's messed up our timeline.
Montauk then.
What Arkeem says is that because he's seen a lot of these other timelines that haven't been so heavily edited, not just with the time travel missions, but with these evil rituals like Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard did with that Babylon working thing. That's really hurt our timeline. These terrible rituals and all those stuff.
I'm going to do a shout out for the Grid Keeper. Grid Keeper's got a grail in Goodwood. That's in southeast England. It's near Goodwood Racecourse, and he's now modified it so that light workers who picked up a lot of really bad stuff can use this grail and walk around it. And he's only just told me to mention that tonight. That's Duncan Davis, and I've got his I've got his.
I'd like for you to send me
That's
his
literally only
contact
available as of today.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the show
I'd like to
notes.
Talk with Duncan. Maybe you can get him on to do a show, talk with me and you, because I want to talk to him about the Tim Refat and the IDA AI
Well,
gone
Tim
rogue.
has just started doing some more stuff on the falsehoods on Lucifer. That a lot of the stuff on Lucifer has been a CIA op. CIA seems to be involved with everything, but the point is Lucifer has his place and he does his thing. You know, nice little Lucifer, happy days. But
you don't want to hear what I have to say about that. Yeah. And
that's the next show.
I won't go. I definitely would talk to you off camera, but I won't go there right now. But, guys, thank you so much. Today has been super amazing. I'm so honored. I'm so thankful. And I will be in touch for next month's show. So I'll send you dates, and then you guys can let me know if those are going to work for you. It'll be at the same time on a Tuesday. And I'm thinking if we just do like the second Tuesday of every month. That sounds like a winner. The second
may I kindly ask that in the description of the video you add all of our links, so if any of our esteemed audience wish to get in touch with us, they can find us.
I will absolutely do that.
Thank you.
I will.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So I'm going to have to go back in and redo it on here and give me just a little bit. I'm going to take Prince for a walk, but I will absolutely do that, Dr. Amir. Absolutely. Brian, so everybody's good.
Yep. I just want to say thank you and goodbye to everybody. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming and joining us. Please subscribe, like, share, invite others to subscribe to these guys' channels. We really appreciate the support. We're not looking for followers. We want you to follow you back to your heart. What we are looking for is for the support so that
Florida 2025.
Yeah. We're just trying to reach the hearts and minds of those that are ready. And so, appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
All
All the best. Goodbye.
Yeah. Banner. Brian, Miles, hold on. Okay.